Okay, let's dive right into this explainer and uncover exactly what Cambridge examiners are looking for when it comes to topic 8.1, cell emphasis and conditional formatting. Welcome to the archaeological dig of computer science exam strategy. Consider this real, highly complex Cambridge past paper question from syllabus code 0417, which actually ties together elements from 0478, 2210, 9618, and our main focus today, 9626. Now, you can almost hear that exam hall timer ticking down, right? Building that tension. To understand how to conquer this, I want to introduce you to two typical students we see literally every single year. First, meet Alex. Alex is a student who overloads every single answer with raw computer science facts. They memorize every menu path, every ribbon click, but they offer absolutely no critical analysis. And then we have Sam. Sam always rushes, panics under the time pressure, and completely misses the specific command word requirements of the question. If you were to look at their papers, you'd see heavy red pen marks all over their answers. Today, we are going to figure out exactly why those red marks happen and, more importantly, how you can transform them into top marks. It's a huge question, and what's really fascinating is that the answer lies not just in knowing the software, it's actually about understanding the hidden strategy behind the exam itself. Let's deconstruct those flawed answers from Alex and Sam. Alex failed because, when asked to evaluate the use of conditional formatting, Alex simply wrote down the textbook definition of conditional formatting and how to apply a color scale. But here's the thing, the examiner doesn't want a software manual, they want data interpretation. Sam, meanwhile, saw a massive spreadsheet, totally ignored the command word justify, and just listed the cell shading styles used. Both of them completely missed the hidden clues in the question. This is the challenge we face. You can't just be a software wizard. You have to be an analytical detective. You have to uncover the perfect answer layer by layer, perfectly matching your technical skills to the specific assessment objectives the examiners are testing. We're going to treat this topic like an archaeological dig, uncovering the perfect answer layer by layer through 5 sections. 1. The formatting foundation. 2. The procedural framework. 3. Top examiner warnings. 4. Securing method marks. And 5. Evaluative thinking. Let's start with section 1, the formatting foundation, and see how building a theoretical architecture lays the groundwork for scoring those top marks. To build this theoretical architecture, I highly recommend using the PEAL framework. That stands for point, evidence, explanation, link. Top students structure every single paragraph this way. Let's apply that directly to the exact formatting elements you need to master for topic 8.1. So if the question asks you to apply cell emphasis to highlight critical stock levels, your point is choosing conditional formatting. Your evidence is the specific rule, say setting it so the cell value is less than 10. Your explanation is that a bold red shading immediately draws the manager's eye to failing stock. And finally, your link connects it right back to the command word, demonstrating that this formatting choice directly solves the problem presented in the scenario. Using size, style, borders, and comments isn't about making the worksheet look pretty. It's about establishing precise definitions and causal relationships in your spreadsheet. And this brilliantly illustrates how the assessment objectives target distinct cognitive domains, transforming your raw skills into professional data interpretation. Look at how these domains step up in complexity. Knowledge and understanding is just the baseline. That's basically just knowing where the Merge Cells button is. Application is taking raw data from a messy text file and structuring it into a readable table using appropriate borders and shading. But analysis? That is where the A-star students live. Analysis means interpreting the relationships within that data. If you set a conditional formatting rule that turns a cell green when revenue exceeds costs, you aren't just coloring a box, you're drawing a conclusion about profitability. Examiners are actively looking to see which of these cognitive domains your answer hits. If you only provide knowledge, you strictly cap your grade. Now, before we continue, subscribe to our YouTube channel, Ace the Exams, at acetheexams_IGCSE to excel in your Cambridge examinations. Click that subscribe button and hit the bell icon right now.
So the absolutely crucial point here is that integration with other syllabus areas is your secret weapon for maximizing your grade. Topic 8.1 doesn't exist in a vacuum. When you're applying cell emphasis, you might actually be highlighting data that was pulled in via an advanced database query from syllabus code 9618, or validating inputs covered in 0478. The principal examiner reports are incredibly clear on this. Candidates who can explain how a conditional formatting rule relates to a data validation rule, or how cell protection and shading work together to create a secure, user-friendly interface, well, those are the ones who score the highest. They see the big picture. They understand that formatting is just the visual front end of some very complex back-end logic.
Moving to Section 2, the procedural framework. Knowing the theory is only half the battle. Now we need to look at systematic analysis in action. Let's imagine we're giving Alex and Sam 60 seconds to rewrite their answers using our precise execution steps. Step 1, deconstruct the question. You've got to highlight that command word. Step 2, extract relevant data. Ask yourself, what specific cell ranges are we dealing with here? Step 3, select the analytical framework. Are we using Peel? Yes, absolutely. Step 4, execute with clear notation. Please don't just say, make it red. Say, apply a conditional formatting rule to range A2 to A20, where the value is less than 0, and format it with a red fill and white bold text. Step 5, present with correct terminology. By following these exact steps, your execution actually relies on evidence-based reasoning rather than just guessing. Instead of a messy data dump, the answer becomes a precise, step-by-step procedural explanation that perfectly addresses the context.
Let's hit Section 3, Top Examiner Warnings. We're going to dig into the biggest traps to avoid, pulled straight from the principal examiner reports. The absolute most common trap students fall into involves a mismatch of methodology. So, for a quick data scan challenge, imagine a complex data table showing a massive list of network errors across a corporate system. You have 60 seconds to emphasize the critical failures. What formatting tools should you use? Are you just going to manually shade the individual cells? Think about the sheer volume of data. If you manually shade them, what happens when the data updates tomorrow? If you said manual cell shading, you fell right into mistake number 1.
You have to ensure you aren't using the wrong approach for the wrong context, because that immediately invalidates your formatting choices. In that data scan challenge we just talked about, using manual cell shading is the wrong approach for a dynamic data set. The context requires automation, meaning conditional formatting was literally the only correct methodology. This is exactly what the examiners mean by a mismatch. You might have successfully made the cell red, but because you used a static format on dynamic data, your approach is fundamentally flawed for the context. Always ask yourself, is this data going to change? If yes, your formatting must be condition-based, not static. And hey, stop scrolling. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, Ace the Exams, at acetheexams_IGCSE to excel in your Cambridge examinations. We've helped thousands of students improve by 2 to 3 grade boundaries. Join them right now by subscribing to at acetheexams_IGCS and turn on all notifications so you never miss our weekly exam strategy sessions. The second major warning from the examiner reports is surprisingly simple, yet it is completely devastating to your score. Let's try a quick Find the Flaw challenge for mistake 2. Listen to this flawed sample paragraph carefully. I selected the title row and clicked Merge and Center. Then I applied a blue background. I used conditional formatting on the total column. I saved the document. You have 30 seconds. Where is the sentence that's losing marks? Think about it. It sounds okay, right? It clearly lists the actions. But what is missing from that process? The flaw is forgetting to check the format and presentation. Even if your underlying data is totally correct, skipping this final visual check will cost you vital presentation marks. The problem with that paragraph was that the student completely forgot to mention checking the final presentation against the exam requirements. Sure, they applied a blue background, but did they check if the text was still legible? Did merging the cells truncate any important data? Did the conditional formatting obscure the actual cell values? Examiners repeatedly note that students perform the technical steps perfectly, but completely fail to evaluate the final output. You must explicitly state in your written answers that you reviewed the final format to ensure professional presentation and readability. And finally, the third biggest mistake relates directly to how you interpret the scenario. Let's do a 30-second speed writing challenge right now. I want you to mentally write one perfect Peel paragraph. Here is the scenario. A hospital needs to track patient wait times. If a wait exceeds 4 hours, it's critical. Write your paragraph justifying a formatting choice. Go. Think about your point. Think about your evidence. Why is it important in a hospital? Explain it. Link it back to the command word. Keep getting those keywords locked in. Okay, time's up. Let's see how your mental paragraph holds up against mistake 3. You must always tailor your cell emphasis to the specific context provided in the question, rather than applying generic everyday formatting. If your speed writing paragraph just said, I will make the cell red because red means bad, you just lost the marks. An A-star, context-specific answer looks much more like this. I will apply conditional formatting to turn the cell red, that's your point, when the wait time value is greater than 4, there's your evidence. In a hospital context, a 4-hour wait poses a severe health risk, so a high-contrast red fill immediately alerts the triage nurse to prioritize that patient. That is your explanation, fulfilling the system's requirement to improve critical response times. And boom, there's your link.
Do you see the difference there? It is entirely rooted in the specific hospital context. Let's transition over to Section 4, Securing Method Marks. We need to talk about the examiner alert, a concept that acts as your ultimate safety net in high-pressure exam situations. Please burn this quote into your memory because showing your analytical process is just as important as the final output. When you're writing out formulas or explaining how you set up a complex nested conditional formatting rule, do not just write down the final result. If you type one wrong character in your syntax and only provide the final answer, you get a 0. But if you clearly document your steps, you trigger the method marks. To do this effectively, you need a time management matrix. Allocate specific minutes not just to solving the problem, but to writing down your evidence. For example, if a question is worth 8 marks, spend 2 minutes planning, 4 minutes executing, and a full 2 minutes documenting your method. A method mark proves to the examiner that you truly understand the underlying logical principles, even if a minor calculation error happens along the way. Let's say you're asked to apply a color scale based on standard deviations from an average, but you calculate the average slightly incorrectly due to a typo. Your final colors will technically be mathematically wrong. However, if your written working explicitly states, I selected the range, applied a 3-color scale conditional format, setting the midpoint to my calculated average formula, the examiner will read that, see your underlying logic is flawless, and award you the method marks for the formatting process, even though the data feeding it was flawed. Your process is just as vital as your perfection. Finally, we've arrived at Section 5, Evaluative Thinking. This is the final blueprint and the absolute ultimate differentiator between an average candidate and a top-scoring one. This 5-step deconstruct, solve, evaluate sequence is exactly how you verify your results and present an appropriate professional format. Look closely at Step 4, check for reasonableness. This is pure evaluative thinking in action. If you merge cells to create a header and half the text mysteriously disappears, is that reasonable? No. If you apply a dark blue background with black text, is that a reasonable interface for an actual user? Absolutely not. Top candidates don't just blindly execute commands, they step back, look at their work, and evaluate it through the eyes of the end user. Step 5 is where you make justified recommendations, which directly feeds back into your Peel framework's explanation and link phases. Ultimately, mastering Topic 8.1 requires you to adopt these critical analysis traits, using cell emphasis to highlight your robust, evidence-based reasoning. You have to question assumptions. Don't just assume default column widths are sufficient. Consider different perspectives. How does a visually impaired user see your color-coded spreadsheet? Can they easily distinguish between the red and green conditional formats? Or should we perhaps add an icon set as well? When you write your answers addressing these specific, high-level concerns and justify your design decisions with concrete evidence from the syllabus, you are signaling to the examiner that you are a top-tier candidate. Students who implement these computer science strategies see an average improvement of 2 grade boundaries, but only if they practice consistently with our weekly videos. I really want you to take that critical mindset into your next practice paper. The next time you format a cell, ask yourself this question: am I just changing colors, or am I building an airtight, evidence-based conclusion? Keep digging into those past papers, keep strictly applying that Peel framework, and remember that your formatting choices are simply the visual front end of your analytical logic. Here's your final reminder. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, Ace the Exams, at acetheexams_IGCSE to excel in your Cambridge examinations. Subscribe right now at acetheexams_IGCSE and click that bell. Don't let another exam pass you by. Drop a comment below with your target grade for computer science and the biggest challenge you're facing. Our team responds to every comment. Like and share this video with a study partner. Ace the Exams, your Cambridge success starts here.